News.
BBC Radio Scotland.
Now, it's been announced that the number of COVID-19 deaths in the Chinese city of Wuhan is 50% higher than previously estimated. However, China's denied any cover-up in its reporting of the coronavirus outbreak. But in recent days, there's been rising international doubt about Beijing's transparency in its handling of the epidemic. Kerry Allen is our China media analyst. Kerry, thanks very much for joining us. That is a huge jump in the figures.
It is, yes. It was incredible opening my email this morning and seeing it. We've known in the last 24 hours that all over China, the whole nation had a death count of around 3,300. So for an extra 1,200 cases to be announced today, that's, it's 50% more of Wuhan's figures, but it's roughly 20 to 25% more of the entire nation's figures as well. It's an extra 1,200 cases.
It's incredible. Any doubt now about the date that this all started? Are we still sure it's December?
We're still thinking it's December. There have been some reports suggesting it could have been September, but yeah, December's still the main theory that that's where it started as a wet market.
So what's the Chinese government saying then?
Well, they're defending the announce of these new figures today by saying that, well, for one, they're saying they don't have to answer to Western governments, and they're saying that an investigation was done because there was a number of reasons why some of these figures might not have come out at the time, some of which, for example, were people who died at home, also cases where there might have been medical centres that weren't attached to the central government. So some people might have been treated at small centres that were, for COVID-19 that weren't able to then pass that information on and be entered into the central system. So a lot of reasons like this. But one thing that's really interesting is that because Chinese media is so heavily censored and controlled, when I look on platforms like Sina Weibo, which is China's version of Facebook or Twitter, all of the comments that you're seeing are messages very pro-government saying, it's good that the government is giving this transparency now. Now, what this is China has something called the 50-cent party, who are people who are paid a very small amount of money, 50 cents, to post messages in line with the government's message. So if anyone wanted to voice criticism, they're not going to, people aren't going to see that. They're just going to see all these pro-government comments.
We were talking earlier on about the theories behind where this started. You mentioned the wet market there. I think it's probably worth just getting to explain that, what the current thinking is and what that is, Kerry.
Yeah, so these are quite common in China, wet markets. They're where you can buy wild animals, and wild animals have long been a big trade in China because of things like traditional Chinese medicine, also different eating habits in particular regions. China is a huge landmass, so in different regions you've got different culinary people like different foods. Wild animals are quite special in some regions. So yeah, the thinking behind it was, one of the things that I know going back to January, this was the time, it was just before Spring Festival, and normally what happens in Wuhan is there's a huge banquet where tens of thousands of families all get together and they all bring a dish, which sounds remarkable, that
yes.
all these different families could all gather in one place. But you do see things like this in China, and it's possible that then, a lot of people met together, some people might have bought food, and one of the questions was, did somebody eat a bat? And that we don't know.
That's one of the theories, isn't it? And no doubt we'll go and find. Thank you so much, Kerry. Very much appreciate. Kerry Allen is our Chinese media analyst.